So basically, I'm sitting here trying to process what just happened. Okay, so I woke up this morning feeling pretty confident about today's job interview. I mean, I've been practicing my responses to common questions for weeks now, and I was convinced that I'd nailed it. But as I got dressed and headed out the door, something didn't feel right. I think it's because I'm not even joking, I have no idea what company I was supposed to be interviewing with. I mean, I had all my notes and research in front of me the night before, but for some reason, I must have gotten them mixed up with a different job posting from last week. And by mixed up, I mean I just threw all the papers into my bag without even looking at them. I arrived at the office building around 9 a.m., feeling pretty anxious and uncertain about what to do next. That's when I saw this guy, Idris, the HR representative from whatever company I was supposed to be interviewing with. He looked up from his desk as I walked in, gave me a weird look, and gestured for me to take a seat. I introduced myself, trying to play it cool despite the fact that I had no idea what I was doing there. "Hi, I'm Nadia, nice to meet you." Idris nodded politely and started rambling on about the company's mission statement and some other corporate jargon. Meanwhile, this guy, Hector, I think, walked in from across the room, flashing me a friendly smile. Apparently, they were just having a casual meeting or something, but for some reason, it was over my head. I mean, we started talking about synergy and disruption, and I just nodded along, hoping that I wasn't totally blowing it. Idris seemed to be trying to gauge my response to these buzzwords, while Hector kept glancing at me like he knew a secret. So basically, the next hour or so was a blur of awkward small talk and stilted conversations about personal projects, whatever that means. And yet, somehow, we managed to keep each other engaged without completely losing our minds. It was weird, I guess. Like this whole thing wasn't supposed to be happening. At one point, Hector leaned in and whispered something in my ear, which made me jump out of my seat. "Okay, fine," he whispered, "don't mess it up." I have no idea what that means or who's been briefing him on my interview skills, but, yeah. That was just weird. I tried to play it cool, nodding along with Hector's cryptic warning as if I had a clue about what he was talking about. The truth is, I had no idea what was going on or why Hector seemed so invested in this interview. As the conversation continued, things started to get more and more surreal. Idris began asking me questions that seemed to be completely unrelated to the job description. "What's your favorite way to spend a Sunday afternoon?" Or, "Do you have any hobbies outside of work?" It was like he was trying to read between the lines, see if I had some hidden talent or experience that I wasn't aware of. Hector just sat there, watching me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. He seemed to be waiting for something, but I had no idea what it was. The air in the room felt thick and heavy, like a storm was brewing on the horizon. And then, just as I thought things couldn't get any stranger, Hector stood up and announced that it's time for the final test. Idris smiled, like this was some kind of initiation ritual, and handed me a small piece of paper with an address scribbled on it. "Take you there," he said, his voice low and menacing. I felt my heart racing as I took the paper from him. What did this mean? Where were we going? And what was the final test, exactly? But before I could ask any questions, Hector was already standing up, his eyes boring into mine like a challenge. "Time to put your skills to the test," he growled, his voice low and menacing. "Let's see if you're really qualified for this job." I swallowed hard, trying to think of something to say, but my mind was blank. All I could do was follow Hector out of the room, into a world that seemed increasingly bizarre and unpredictable. As we walked down the stairs, the air grew thick with tension. I tried to take in every detail of our surroundings, but everything seemed to be shrouded in mystery. We arrived at a nondescript door with a small keypad next to it. Idris punched in a code, and the door swung open, revealing a dimly lit corridor that stretched out into infinity. Hector gestured for me to follow him, his long strides eating up the distance as we made our way deeper into the heart of the building. I stumbled after him, my mind racing with questions. What kind of job required this level of secrecy? And what was the final test, exactly? We finally arrived at a door marked Conference Room A. Hector pushed it open, revealing a room filled with people in suits, all staring at me like they'd been waiting for me their whole lives. Idris stepped forward, his smile still plastered on his face. "Welcome, Nadia," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. "We've been expecting you. You see, this is a special opportunity, one that requires absolute dedication and loyalty." I felt like I was trapped in some kind of surreal nightmare. What had I gotten myself into? But before I could ask any questions, Hector's grip on my arm tightened. "The final test begins now," he growled, his eyes glinting with an unnerving intensity. "We'll see if you have what it takes to join our family." The room erupted into a cacophony of whispers and murmurs, as the suits began to close in around me. I felt like I was being herded towards some kind of dark ritual, but before I could even try to escape, a figure emerged from the shadows. "You're not going anywhere until you pass," she hissed, her voice dripping with venom. "My name is Scarlet, and I'll be your muse." Scarlet's eyes locked onto mine, sending a shiver down my spine. What did this woman want from me? And what lay in store for me if I failed? As the room descended into chaos, I felt myself being pulled toward Scarlet like a moth to flame. She reached out and grasped my arm, her grip like a vice. "Come with me," she whispered, her breath hot against my ear. "It's time to see what you're really made of." And then everything went black. I was waking up in a small, dimly lit room with no windows. I had no idea where I was or how I got there. The only sound was the soft hum of machinery and the faint scent of disinfectant. As I sat up in bed, trying to clear the fog from my mind, I realized that I was not alone. A figure stood in the corner of the room, watching me with an unblinking gaze. It was Hector, a man who had been instrumental in getting me into this strange situation. Where am I?" I stammered, trying to shake off the remnants of my previous ordeal. "You're at the Institute," Hector replied, his voice low and serious. "You're here because you have a certain talent." I shook my head, trying to remember anything about what had happened before arriving at this place. And then it hit me, Idris, the job interview, and Scarlett's sinister words. "You showed up to the wrong job interview," Hector said, his expression unreadable. "And instead of walking out, you decided to go with it." I felt a wave of embarrassment wash over me. How had things gone so far off track? But as I looked around the room, I realized that this was not just any ordinary job interview. Scarlett's eyes were still locked onto mine, and I could feel her presence even in this dingy room. It seemed that my journey had only just begun, and I was about to discover that Idris's company was just a small part of something much larger. "Who are you people?" I asked Hector, trying to keep my voice steady. "We're the ones who guide individuals like you," he replied. "People with potential." Potential? What did he mean? As the truth began to unravel before me, I realized that I had stumbled into a world of espionage and deception. The Institute was a training ground for people with extraordinary abilities, and Idris's company was just one of many fronts in their operation. I felt a mix of emotions, fear, excitement, and a hint of determination. This was not going to be easy, but I knew that I had to see this through. "I'm ready," I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. Hector nodded, his expression unreadable once again. "Then let's get started." And with that, my journey began. A journey that would take me down dark alleys, introduce me to allies and enemies alike, and push me to the limits of my abilities. As I stood up, ready to face whatever lay ahead, I couldn't help but wonder, what other surprises did this world have in store for me? Let's just say that I'll be back.